Appeals meeting. Kathy, can you do roll call, please?
Mr. Abathera?
Here.
Ms. Brooks? Here. Mr. Jezerman?
Here.
Mr. Friesen?
Here.
Mr. Nastasi?
Here.
Quorum present.
Thank you. Our next one will be the approval of minutes for the June 4th, 2025 meeting.
I move to approve.
I second.
Kathy, take the vote, please.
Ms. Brooks?
Approve.
Mr. Jezerman?
Yes.
Mr. Friesen?
Yes.
Mr. Nastasi?
Yes.
Mr. Abathera?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right. Before we go into our first hearing of the cases, Salim would like to make a little introduction to us here.
Thank you, Gary. I just wanted to make sure, as you know, my name is Salim Huerta, I'm the building official, and I wanted to make a friendly reminder to all the board members that cases are brought up here with the information as given, and they should be voted upon the information given. I would highly recommend that we do not get involved with design or options. What's presented should be voted upon, and if it gets approved or rejected, if it gets rejected, then it goes to a different date with a different design, but the design has to come from the applicant, not the board members.
Salim, a question on that. If we say no and they come back to us, do they got to repay their fee, or is it?
At that point, I can go case by case. I can even waive that if necessary.
Okay.
But, the intent is just to do service.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody have any questions on that?
Understood.
All right. All right, our first case would be the variance request for 505 Latonia for Aaron, might mess it up.
Zarugian.
Zarugian?
Yes. They are present.
All right. Salim or Dominic, whoever wants to do it. Dominic, if you could give us a little history on that, please.
Sure. So this is for a fence height variance request, and it's for 505 Latonia. This property consists of a corner lot. According to the City of Troy zoning ordinance, it qualifies as a corner lot with front lot lines along both Latonia and Tallman. The property is located within the R1C zoning district, which requires a front yard setback of 30 feet along both Latonia and Tallman, where the zoning ordinance limits fence height to 30 inches. The petitioner is seeking a fence height variance for the installation of a 6 feet high vinyl, and I'll note this is a replacement fence, privacy fence. This fence is proposed to match the existing wood privacy fence 6 feet height and location of 12 feet away from the Tallman property line. The fence is proposed to run 81 feet along Tallman and return 18 feet along the rear property line adjacent to the side yard of 4307 Tallman, and return another 18 feet to the southeast corner of the house for a total variance length of 6 feet high vinyl privacy fence of 117 feet in the Tallman designated front yard. Of the 276 feet of fence requested, 159 feet of the fence complies with zoning regulations and does not require a variance. This case is a carryover from last month.
Thank you, Dominic. Does anybody have any questions for Dominic on this case first?
I don't recall from the previous meeting. Was there a permit for the previous fence?
There was, yes. There is a pool in this yard, as you know, and there was a permit pulled for both the pool and the fence.
Thank you.
Dominic, I was not here last month.
Okay.
What's the height of the fence that's being replaced?
6 feet.
Was a permit for a 6-foot fence at the time?
Well, since you asked, there was multiple fence permits on this property. Started as a 4-foot high, finished as a 6-foot high.
Okay. And would they have needed a variance back then?
I don't believe there was a variance at the time.
Okay. But the city gave a permit for it?
The city did give a permit.
Okay. Any other questions for Dominic? I'm going to bring the petitioner up. Would Aaron like come up and? How you doing, Aaron?
Good, how are you?
Could you sign in, please?
Sure.
Just from other board members, I'm a little disadvantaged because I don't know what, it was tabled last month?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I wasn't here either, so.
Okay.
They had an option if they wanted a full board for their approval. That's
Got you. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that makes, so you didn't talk about the fence at all then? Very little.
Other than what Dominic just said, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. If you could tell us why you need the variance?
Currently, right now, our fence is probably over 25 years old, and it's a wood fence that's rotting, it's falling in multiple places. We've repaired it in multiple places. So we're just seeking to simply replace the current wood fence to a vinyl fence in the exact same location at the exact same height that it's at right now.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody have any questions for the applicant?
I think it was in the document, but the fence was there when you bought it?
Yes,
Pool
we
was
bought the
there?
house in 2006, and it was in that location, and the wood fence was there at that time.
And the pool was also there?
Yes.
All right. I know the existing fence is a wood fence. Are you putting a wood fence replacement or a vinyl?
Vinyl.
Vinyl, okay. I know from my board members, I drive by there 3 times a week probably, and I've never noticed the fence was even there until I drove by and looked
Yeah.
at it. So my quick comment is, when I drive by, I don't ever notice it. Does anybody else have any more questions for the applicant? Okay. What? No, thank you very much.
Okay.
You can have a seat. You signed in, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Dominic, do we have any letters from any neighbors?
I do not.
No emails?
No emails.
Okay. Does anybody want to discuss this? Is there anybody in the audience that would like to come up and talk about this? If not, we're going to close the public hearing on this case. Would anybody like to talk about this? I look at it and it's a replacement of a 12-foot fence that was already, or a 6-foot fence that was already there.
Yeah, Chair, I would agree that this is just a replacement fence for what is existing. They've already had the permits prior, so I think that this is pretty much just
Okay.
Yeah, I think the only
replacement.
context to it from a positive standpoint, it's pretty far back from the sidewalk and you have a swimming pool, so it all
Yeah,
makes a lot of.
we talked about that last time too, the swimming pool being in the back too.
Okay.
If that was a regulation anyway to be at 6 foot, but I guess it's only 4 here in the city, so,
54, I think, but I could be wrong.
yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Any concerns with visibility? It's set 12 foot back from the sidewalk.
Visibility, how?
I guess there are no driveways, are
It's
there?
the driveway's up off of,
Yeah, this one's that way and that one's all the way over there.
Yeah.
All right, retract
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
Right, the neighbor driveway is, Don Tallman is
Further
farther down.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, that's usually one of
Anybody
our
like to
questions.
anybody like to put a motion forward?
I can do it. I move to grant the request, given that the, which is the one, the characteristics make compliance with this requirement difficult. What's the one about not your doing? We'll say does not harmful to the essential character of the area and doesn't further worsen the condition that's already there.
I'll second that.
Second it. Kathy, could you take the vote, please?
Mr. DeZerman?
Yes.
Mr. Freisen?
Yes.
Mr. Nastasi?
Yes.
Mr. Abathera?
Yes.
Ms. Brooks?
Yes.
Motion carries.
You're all set. Thank you. We'll go to our next case, is a variance request for 5015 Falmouth from a Brandon Yasso. Dominic, can you tell us about that one, please?
Okay, thank you. We have another fence height variance request, and this is for 5015 Falmouth. Again, this property consists of a corner lot. According to the City of Troy zoning ordinance, it qualifies as a corner lot with front lot lines along both Falmouth and East Long Lake. The property is located within the R1B zoning district, which requires a front yard setback of 40 feet along both Falmouth and East Long Lake, where the zoning ordinance limits fence height to 30 inches. The petitioner is seeking a fence height variance for the installation of a 6-foot-high vinyl privacy fence. The fence is proposed to run 70 feet along East Long Lake and return 35 feet along the rear property line adjacent to the side yard of the Walnut Grove Estates Open Space Preservation Area and return another 35 feet to the southwest corner of the house for a total variance length of 6 feet high vinyl privacy fence of 140 feet in the East Long Lake designated front yard. Of the total 242 feet of fence requested, 102 feet of the fence complies with the zoning regulations and does not require a variance.
Thank you, Dominic. Does he have any questions for Dominic from the board here?
No, sir.
Dominic, I do have a question for you.
Okay.
Non-existing fence there right now, right?
Correct.
Okay. And, okay. Would the applicant like to come up, Brandon, and state your reason why you need the fence there? And please sign in when you get in.
Afternoon. So my reasoning for wanting the fence, I have small children, so a toddler that'll be 3 next month, a 1-year-old, and another baby on the way. And as they're growing older, I want them to be able to play safely in our backyard without the worry of them running into Long Lake, which is growing increasingly more busy. And then also a lot of foot traffic there. I don't want anyone to be able to see into our yard as my young children are playing back there. So mainly security and privacy for my children as they get older.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for the applicant? Okay. Thank you very much.
I did have a letter from one of my neighbors as well. I don't know if I'll
Sure, if you don't mind giving it to that end, you can pass it down.
I do have one question for the applicant. So I'm looking at some photos. I'm on page 50 there, Dominic.
Which one, 50?
50. So these, I guess these trees or bushes here that are there, is this fence proposed, that you're proposing to be on the opposite side, or are you tearing those out, or what's?
No, those will remain.
Okay.
It's just going to run along those, the same path that these are running. It'll run along the same path.
Okay. I was just curious and where that sits on that.
Yep.
And to clarify that, Matt, the trees aren't in the same, like the fence is beyond the trees in this picture.
It's hard to.
It'll be on the
it's
other
hard to
side
tell.
of where the
Yeah.
trees are in the picture.
They're not in or out of the fence, they're,
in the same
Yeah.
direct path. Yep.
Yep.
Page 37 shows that.
37 does, or?
37, the plan.
No.
See the grouping to the east there?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Any more questions for the applicant?
Just a curiosity, and this is kind of just, it's a 5-foot setback off from the sidewalk. Is that what you're showing there on that?
It's proposed as 5 feet back, the way the dimensions came through.
And that's from,
Sidewalk or property line?
yeah, that's all the way along.
That's from property line, actually.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
All right.
Sorry, thank you.
It could, I'm sorry, could be exceeded because the sidewalk's normally 1 foot away from the
Yeah.
property.
Okay.
Okay. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can I ask Dominic a question?
Yes, absolutely.
Dominic, to the east there, I know 5048 has a wooden fence. I can't remember how tall it is. I think maybe it's 5 feet or something. But given the offset of the sidewalk, it was a little hard to tell. Do we think that this fence is nominally in line? Do you know if it's kind of in line with that fence?
I can't say for sure that they're in line.
Okay.
But I do know, yes, 5048 and then also 5054 has a fence along Long Lake as well.
54 is the next one east?
The next one east, correct.
Yeah. Okay. And I know when I looked at it, it's significantly farther back from the sidewalk, but you can see the sidewalk jog south there. So I think they're
Right.
in a similar location to Long Lake, give or take.
Yeah, because that sidewalk kind of jots out.
Right.
Yeah. Isn't that part of the Long Lake right there where it kind of
No idea.
turns a little bit?
Well, there's quite a few fences up and down Long Lake,
Yeah.
north and south of the road.
Is this a, yeah.
And do those other fences, Dominic, you probably don't know, but probably don't have variances either, like 5048 and...
I know that they have permits that were approved, but I don't know if there were variances or not.
Okay. All right. I personally like that the idea is 5 feet off the sidewalk.
Public
Excuse
comment.
me,
5 feet
off the property line, 6 feet off the sidewalk, I think is a good thing. And-
Do we do public comment?
will.
Okay.
And I mean, just discussing with you guys is, I have zero issue being on a major road.
I think the
like that.
arborvitae's already placed there, kind of play a role in
Yes.
what he's looking for, plus
Yeah.
as you said, I think we're not kind of creating a precedence, it's sort of already been set with some of that fencing along Long Lake as
Yeah,
well.
most definitely. Teresa?
I have a question for the city, that the original plat has some easements. So along the western property line, there's a 20-foot drainage easement.
That's correct.
Do we know if that's surface or subsurface? Or,
So for any fences within easements, I need to gain approval from DPW. They have approved this.
oh, very good then. Okay, thank you.
We only have the one letter and no other emails.
We're next door to him at 5033.
I'll be there one second. Do we have any more
No,
letters or
I
emails?
do not.
Okay, we just had the one that we passed around. Is there anybody in the audience that'd like to come up and talk about this?
We're next door at 5033.
I'm sorry, ma'am, you have to just come up and just, we have to keep it official.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
are we officially opening the public hearing?
I'm sorry, yes.
My name's Bonnie Ferguson.
Okay,
We're at 5033, which is next door to them,
yep,
and we are in full support of him getting the fence.
okay, sounds good, thank you very much. Could you mind signing in, please? Thank you. Anybody else from the audience? Okay, we're going to close the public comments. Does anybody up here have any? I mean, we have a letter and we have a neighbor, and I just think it's a good thing.
Does, Kathy,
Yes.
do you need this letter read in because it was received today?
We can either read it or I can include it as an attachment to the minutes. The preference is yours.
Attachment. You guys good with that? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Would anybody like to put a motion forward?
I can go again. Motion to grant the request in that the exceptional characteristics of the property for which a variance is sought makes the compliance with the requirements of the chapter substantially more difficult, and that I do not believe that the compliance is of a personal nature or harmful to the essential character of the area.
I'll second that.
Okay. Kathy, would you mind taking the roll call, please?
I sure will. 1 second, please.
No problem.
Mr. Freisen.
Yes.
Mr. Nastasi.
Yes.
Mr. Abathira.
Yes.
Ms. Brooks.
Yes.
Mr. Dezerman.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. You're all set. Thank you very much. Our next request will be for 2109 Joanne from Nathan Martin. Dominic, do you mind telling us about this, please?
Okay, thank you. We have another fence height variance request. Again, a corner lot. This property consists of a corner lot, and according to the City of Troy zoning ordinance, qualifies as a corner lot with front lot lines along both Joanne and Ledge. The property is located within the R1B zoning district, which requires a front yard setback of 40 feet along both Joanne and Ledge, where the zoning ordinance limits fence height to 30 inches. Petitioner is seeking a fence height variance for the installation of a 4 feet high, non-obscuring aluminum fence. The fence is proposed to run 66 feet along Ledge and return approximately 29.5 feet along the rear property line adjacent to the side yard of 3815 Ledge, and return another 27.5 feet to the southeast corner of the house for a total variance length of 4 feet high, non-obscuring aluminum fence of 123 feet in the Ledge designated front yard. Of the total 233 feet of fence requested, 110 feet of the fence complies with zoning regulations and does not require a variance.
Thank you. Any questions for Dominic? Teresa?
The drawing shows a 12-foot maximum setback.
The way the application came over, the fence is squared up in the yard, and you'll see the curve along Ledge, that at most it will be 12 feet approximately from the property line, so it will encroach a little bit as ledge curves
Do
at the
we
back of the property.
Know that minimum
I,
distance?
no, I don't.
Okay, so it's not a request by the owner to be,
That is not a request, that is.
it's
that-
just information?
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Dominic, I have a question for you.
Sure.
If 3870, which is right across the street from them, was turned the other direction, facing Joanne, would they need a variance?
Would 2109 need the variance?
Yes. Because it would be
If 3870 was turned,
turned the other direction.
that would make no difference, because they're opposite side of the street.
Okay, because we had a variance
You'll know
a
it
few
matters.
years ago. Salim?
Yeah, there's a rule for that. It's not used very commonly, but yes, when they are facing each other.
Yes.
What I'm still by memory, it has to be 4.
Has to be 4, so it would have been 3815 and the next
Yeah,
one.
And that's just
Okay,
going by memory.
okay, you could be right. I think you are.
I don't recall.
We had that on another, okay. Does anybody have any questions for Dominic while we're over here? I do one more question, Dominic, for you. You put the yellow in there, 12-foot maximum.
I did.
Okay.
I did. That was just working off the dimensions I was given.
Okay.
That leaves approximately 12 feet there.
So it could be down to 11 at the back corner.
Correct.
Okay, and once again, that's off lot lines, not sidewalks.
Correct, property lines.
And 48-inch
Non-obscure.
non-obscure. You can see through it, look through it.
That's correct.
Just, it's a much nicer than a chain link fence.
That's what was
Okay.
proposed.
Yes, okay. All right, anybody else have any more questions?
Yeah, I do, but Dominic, I'm sorry, it's hard to see with the numbers there, the 2109, are they coming to the back line of that
Well, there's currently a row of hedges or small trees back there, so look, they are falling short of reaching that.
so it's
It's
inward from that?
inside of
Closer
where
to
those
where,
shrubs
I'm looking at a visual of the property, like a chimney type.
They would be inside, correct?
So they could be 4 or 5 feet in off the back property line also. That back wall could be like 4 feet off the lot line.
Yeah, because that's not showing on anything.
Right.
That,
Okay,
For the dimension there, yeah, I do not have that. I've got it set so that the trees are basically locating where the fence would be.
okay.
and on the back side of the lot, are those, do we know if that, because you mentioned it, so the hedges that are on the back, is that within the property line or outside that property line?
I don't know exactly if they're hanging over the
Okay.
property line or not. There are some photos if
Yeah.
you need to see those.
Okay. Anybody else with more questions for Dominic? If not, would the applicant please come up? If you don't mind, state your name, sign in, and explain to us why you need the variance.
Yeah, I'm Nathan Martin. We are asking for the variance because we are expecting a child in 2.5 weeks, and we also have a dog. So we're for the safety of both of them and ourselves, because we're just off Coolidge. It's high traffic and a lot of foot traffic as well.
Okay, thank you. Anybody have any questions for the applicant?
I do. Following off on Matt's comment, are the shrubs, trees, bushes, whatever, are those yours or are they the neighbors?
We just moved in last fall. The previous owner said that they're all within the property line. Me and the neighbor both just kind of take care of our side. So I'm not 100% sure. Same with the hedge on the side between us and 2125. So we both just maintain our side.
And then I guess the other question, and maybe it's not a question, it's more of a statement, but I had the same thought that Teresa did, the way the diagram's drawn at 12-foot maximum. I don't love how that's written in general, right? Because I could make it 0 and be compliant. So I guess what is your intent with where to place that? I guess.
Off the,
But again, that's not his request.
I know, and that's why I'm asking what his version of that yellow note is.
When I talked to the contractor we were working with, we actually asked for further than that because we wanted an angle to keep like minimum 14 to 18 feet, because our dogs reacted to other dogs. We wanted to keep it further offset. So I think the plan might have just been squared off, but our intent was to be more angled in.
And kind of follow the curve of the road?
Yeah.
At some 12 to 14 feet
That-
off the,
Yeah, that's what I prefer, because
Okay.
I want to do like a little garden and make sure there's a barrier so my dog doesn't react to people walking by.
Perfect.
Oh, to dogs walking by.
Yep.
She likes people.
understood. Okay.
Okay.
And is your intent, I'm sorry, ask a question. I mean, we've kind of asked it a couple times, but the shrubs or whatever, is that your intent to keep that within or outside the fence or tear those down?
We would like to do arborvitaes and a garden on the outside and leave some grass for anyone walking
You may
by.
take those down as part of this fence installation then, the current ones that are on the backside of the lot?
Oh, on the backside, we're just going to maintain.
Okay.
On the roadside, we were intending to add some garden
Yeah,
bed.
understand, yeah. Just curious, I mean,
But
Yeah, no, we like them.
yeah.
Your fence is going to be inside of the neighboring bushes that we're talking about, the existing bushes?
Correct. We're going inside of all of it.
Right.
Understood.
So that, to me, is inside the actual property line that
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
showing here, which he doesn't have a dimension on. That's all, that's my question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any more questions for the petitioner? All right, you may sit down, please. Dominic, do we have any letters or emails?
I do not. Not for this one.
Not one, eh? Okay. I'll open up the public comment. Is there anybody in the public that come talk about this? Seeing none, I'll close the public comment, bring it back to us. You guys have any?
My only comment would be, if we get to the point of a motion, is how do we state it? And it may possibly be where you say the 27.5 feet off of the corner of the house is our like maximum allowable variance. And if he wanted to go less than that, then it would still, I feel like this one's tough to give a motion on.
I have a question about that. Dominic or Celine? Probably Celine. You just told us it's a yes or a no. We can't say push the fence back, correct?
But
Am I?
But I don't think we're doing that. I think we're clarifying his intent based on what he just
What
said
we're
he's
giving
trying to do.
I would like to talk about it. So in this case, I see it's a unique case. So I would agree with Teresa, like giving a maximum minimum because there's no real definition. I think that would be okay because it's more a buffer of space that we're giving because of the circumstances.
Because normally we give minimums, not
Yeah,
maximums.
exactly. That was I was planning to make a motion. I was just intending to just make that a 12-foot minimum setback following the curvature of the road. And then if he wants to come in further.
Okay.
he
Because
can
if we
go
call
in
it
further.
maximum, he can go right to the sidewalk.
Exactly. Right, so that was going to be my only
Right.
Okay.
caveat to the.
I was
going
just
to-
using the set dimension that
Right.
was part of the submission.
Yeah.
I agree, and I think for the board's sake is like, in what you're asking, I think, and that is just the way that it's proposed, because again, the intent is just if we pass that, then they have the intent to build within what you were saying, within that parameter. But if we don't, they can come back and propose a different scenario, right?
Celine, if we, and I'm just going off, like, since there's a curve and they want their fence straight, is it okay for us to put in our motion a certain minimum distance?
I agree with that. I'm okay with that.
I mean, I don't want to break our yes, no, what we have.
Yeah, we want to stay as close as possible to that rule.
Okay.
In this case, it's a unique case. I questioned it with Dominic presented to me, that there was no real definition on that 12-foot distance and the curve.
Okay.
So I would be definitely okay with that.
All right, a couple of things I have just for my board here is, I'm going to call the petitioner back up, but he wanted 12 foot off the sidewalk. We talked about wanting more. I don't have a problem with it going 10 feet, say, because I think he wants to keep his fence square rather than trying to put a metal fence on an
He
angle.
said-
Might look a little funky.
You can bring him back up, but he
Okay.
said the opposite of that.
All right, would you mind coming back up real quick? Do you understand what we're talking about is, we're not going to give a maximum, we're going to give a minimum. Are you fine with 12-foot minimum off the sidewalk, if that's what my board decides?
Yeah, I'd be fine with that.
Okay.
And just to clarify, your intent is to kind of follow the curvature a little bit or square?
Will you,
Ideally, I want to look nice, so it's try and keep it to the same curvature as the sidewalk and the road and all that.
Love it. Yep.
but you said your fence company wanted to keep it straight.
Yeah.
Well, it's probably easier for them because they're
Could be
Pushing
easier,
the
could be
line.
cheaper.
I'm assuming they'll do just a slight inward angle to meet that, so.
I mean, I hate to tell them we gotta move it a foot, it's gonna
Yeah.
cost them more
I mean,
money.
if you just, like you said, if he just cuts the corner, that curve is not that strong.
Right.
it'll be
Correct,
fine.
yeah.
Like what you're saying, though, if we set the minimum to 12 foot from the sidewalk, then it's got to be set 12 foot from the sidewalk all the way following that curve,
Yeah,
correct?
but essentially you'd end up hitting the one point and the other point, connect the dots, and it'll be 13 feet in the middle and 12 at the corners or something.
Yeah.
But that's fine.
True. They could do that, yeah.
Okay, any more questions for the petition before I send back? Thank you very much.
Yeah, I have no other questions.
All right, so
Yeah, no problem.
someone, we all agree, we'd like to see it at 12-foot minimum,
Correct.
or less even.
I think Salim has something.
I just
I'm
want
sorry,
to ask for clarification. So what we're saying is that 12 feet will be the minimum, it's going to be more than 12 feet at certain points.
Correct.
Correct, which. I'm
Right,
asking
which we
more.
were just saying that it's,
I agree with that.
yeah.
Okay, so if he's gonna be at 12 feet up in that front corner, in the back, we know it's gonna be less. Let's just call it 10 feet, because the road say it's gonna curve 2 feet.
I don't think it's that.
You don't think so?
I think it's 12-foot minimum from the property line as it curves.
Yeah.
And then that means that it might be canted a little bit, or he could segment it or whatever, but anywhere from the property line, 12 feet back would
I would agree
be
with
no
that.
fence.
But here's the thing too, is that the way this is drawn here is, I would actually try to look at this as, so that they don't have to come back, as if those shrubs or anything on the backside ever have to be removed and they want to move that fence to that property line. Do we propose, based on the fact, so that they don't have to come back, that it's actually 12 foot off the set of the sidewalk to the property line in the rear, and then property line on the
To 0 feet off the back.
0 feet off the back?
I have no problem with that.
I don't think
I
that's,
mean,
I don't think that's,
because the way that this is proposed is inside of that property line, and usually we do up to the property line in that case, right? But I'm just proposing that because I think that pushing it to the property line on those other two sides would be more intent, again, a 0 feet setback on those for the future reference.
that's fine, yep.
Salim, are we over designing? Okay, Salim says we're over designing that though.
Yeah.
I think, like I said, I think the intent, if I can put a motion, is just to clarify the intent of what's confusing in that drawing.
Okay.
And
Correct.
We'll just
Change the maximum.
clarify.
We're gonna say that the drawing's confusing.
Okay, so we're gonna change maximum.
We're gonna
to
blame
minimum.
Dominic and not the.
I mean, you guys are good with minimum over maximum and everything else is good.
Yeah.
Okay, would someone like to put a motion forward?
All right.
I can do it. I was just gonna say, so make a motion to approve the request with the caveat that the fence be a 12-foot minimum setback all along the ledge property line. Everything else as proposed, due to the exceptional characteristics for which the property, of the property for which the variance is sought.
I would second that.
Kathy, you take the vote, please.
Is that clear? You're good.
Kathy, you got that okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, sorry.
Okay. Mr. Nastasti?
Yes.
Mr. Apathera?
Yes.
Ms. Brooks?
Yes.
Mr. DeZerman?
Yes.
Mr. Friesen?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, you're all set, sir. Our next one will be a variance request for 510 Kenyon from Kimberly Fence, being Margaret Long. Dominic, can you tell us a little bit about it, please?
Thank you. Another fence height variance request for 510 Kenyon. This property consists of a corner lot. According to the City of Troy zoning ordinance, it qualifies as a corner lot as both lot lines separating said lot from the street shall be considered front lot lines along both facades fronting Kenyon at Jamaica. This property is located within the R1E zoning district, which requires a front yard setback of 25 feet along Kenyon, where the zoning ordinance limits fence height to 30 inches or to 48 inches of non-obscuring fence where there is a common rear yard relationship with a lot in the same block. And in this case, it would be 1401 Waken. And I'm going to flip to the next slide here, just may clarify things a little bit, hopefully. Because we have two different fences, fence heights being requested. And the petitioner is seeking a fence height variance for the installation of a wood privacy fence exceeding the restrictions as set forth by the zoning ordinance. And we have fence section A, which is the red line. That proposes a 6-foot-high wood privacy fence to run a total of 29 feet along Kenyon and return 24 feet along the rear property line adjacent to the rear yard of 1401 Waken, and return another 5.5 feet to the southwest corner of the garage for a total variance length of 6 feet high wood privacy fence of 58.5 feet in the Kenyon designated front yard. And then we have another section, fence section B, which is the blue line. That proposes a 4 feet high wood privacy fence to run a total of 32 feet at the center section of the property for a total variance length of 4 feet high wood privacy fence of 32 feet in the Kenyon designated front yard. And of the total 127.5 feet of fence requested, 37 feet of the fence complies with zoning regulations and does not require a variance.
I'm a little confused.
This is mainly a replacement fence also. There's, majority of this is replacement.
Okay.
And keep in mind, the way this lot is, they are allowed a 48-inch high fence, but it has to be non-obscuring, according to the
Okay.
ordinance.
Okay, along Jamaica, right?
No, Kenyon.
Kenyon.
Okay. Yes, okay, yes. What confused me is I keep thinking you got Kenyon Street here and Kenyon Drive up there.
Yeah.
Correct, yes.
But one is,
It's actually correct. From the T, Jamaica goes to the left and Kenyon
That's
goes to the
correct.
right. It's very deceiving.
okay. Ah. Okay. Okay. Any questions for Dominic?
Yeah.
I'm going to take a break for a second and look at this closer.
So I don't know if you have the history on this because it does seem, the history of that fence, it's obviously a small lot. The 25-foot setback seems like that would be into the house or the garage at that
Right.
point. Like, how did we get to where we are right now to replace?
So from the information I was able to find, there was a rear room addition on the home that did get a variance. I did not see anything on the fence, so I can't say whether there was a variance or not for that.
When you say rear, it's the piece going toward Kenyon or down
It's-
toward the neighbor to the south?
So it'd be, if you're looking at this drawing, we're right in the middle of the house, it says fence section B, 32 feet complying,
Yeah.
right? There was a variance that was granted for that addition.
Part that extends to the south.
Yeah, and, yes. Yes.
Don't forget to raise your hand.
This came in as one packaged appeal, not two separate ones.
That is correct.
So it's all or none.
Well, you have the representative here.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'm confused by this.
This is a unique one.
All right, so just, I'm going to make sure the address faces Jamaica.
Yeah.
The driveway comes in off of Kenyon, correct?
The address is,
The front door goes to
which
Jamaica.
Kenyon? Is it the North Kenyon or the West Kenyon?
So the house fronts North Kenyon.
Okay.
Okay.
Which is the extension of Jamaica, as you're talking about.
Right, the extent, so the front door faces that, address is the address.
Faces north, correct.
Garage comes in off of Kenyon. Straight Kenyon. It's a side entry.
The driveway is on the east side of Kenyon.
Yes, okay.
But I'm seeing like the driveway is not completed, correct? To the back of that garage?
Well,
That's what I'm
No,
confused
so
by.
Yeah,
the
right there's the
driveway
driveway.
comes in here
yep,
and turns into the garage, which the garage door is right here.
okay, so it's a side entry, side entry.
I
Yes.
understand that.
Technically a rear entry
A rear
garage.
entry garage, comes in from the side, goes in the back.
Correct.
And that looks like it's right on the property line of Kenyon. There's no,
It's very close.
very close, okay, within a few feet.
It's essentially that little leg of fence, right? That.
Yeah, but if I'm sorry, Dominic, can you go to Is that 106? Is that it? Okay, so I'm a little confused. That's the rear entry garage, correct?
Yes.
Okay, where's the driveway past the sidewalk?
It's just at the very bottom of
The
this
approach,
picture.
yeah.
Roll down just a hair. You can start to see it going to the left.
Yeah. See it going to the left there? All right.
He's standing in the driveway essentially.
All right. So will you get that picture up, Dominic? That
the fence.
wood fence right there is a replacement fence for that 6-foot wood fence, correct?
Yes,
Okay, so they want to replace that with a 6-foot new fence.
correct.
Okay. And then going north, that's a wood fence too, coming off the edge of the garage.
Correct.
Going north. That's a replacement.
These are portion of the 6-foot-high fence, correct?
Okay.
100.
All right. Can you go back to that first one that had all the blues and yellows and show me where this is on that?
Sure.
That might clarify a little bit for me. I mean, normally I get this stuff pretty quick.
I struggled to read this plan for a little bit. I do this every day. Yeah, so the driveway is right essentially where that arrow down from Kenyon Street is.
So fence section?
Clear up a lot of your questions.
Okay, one second. That's what Dominic's fence section A is right there where we were looking at. Right coming down red? Was we're
Correct.
looking at that?
That's
And
existing.
Little piece up there by,
And
up
then,
there.
that's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So section A is existing, I'm going to say.
For the most
I would
part.
say for the most part, yes.
That little 8-foot section right up next to the letter A is not there.
Okay. And I know that let me bring them up and they clarify everything for us real quick. Between this and the picture that we just were looking at, I think will help a lot. Does anybody have any more questions for Dominic right now? All right, would the petitioner please like to come up?
I had a feeling this was going to happen. Hi, Gordy Muskelly from Kimberly Fence. Let me sign in. Okay. Looking for a variance. The original fence was where the red line is, but it went straight across the driveway. All the way, there was a gate, and there's a massive tree on the portion, on the side of the driveway by Kenyon Drive, closer to Kenyon Drive. It's so confusing, Kenyon Drive and Kenyon Street. The tree fell, I'm not sure when, in a storm, knocked most of that fence section down. The tree stump is massive. So we came up with the alternative of the 4-foot section in blue, leaving the stump. She's going to start to garden around it, which she already has. We're going to replace the existing fence in fence section A with the 5.5 foot, and then the 8-foot section, 6 foot would be replacement. The 21 feet coming down would be replacement, and then coming across the back of the fence, the back of the lot line. Instead of making it straight across again, I can't even fathom, it'd probably be a couple $1,000s to just grind that stump that's still there. It's probably 6-7 feet around the tree that came down.
This one?
So the driveway, the whole setup of the house is just very unique with the driveway coming off of Kenyon Street and then swinging in. I don't even know if the garage it doesn't even look like it's useful. The driveway is so short.
Okay. Dom, can you go back to the other picture real quick that we were looking at?
The one before?
Yes.
This one?
Yes.
The stump in question is hidden by those bushes. But the fence used to go straight across. That existing fence went straight across, and there was
So it connected at one point.
yeah, oh yeah, there was a gate. The panels are there. They're behind I think I have them in one of the pictures I submitted.
Okay.
Oh, yeah,
Panels are sitting there.
Yeah.
I do remember.
They're sitting on the ground. And she has just a temporary fence up, some vinyl garden fence.
Okay.
So is the intent, and then
Is there any
again,
questions for the?
yeah, is the intent that the existing fence, obviously replacing that, but is there existing fence within that green zone where it does comply? Is that being replaced too as well?
So you're saying, so this,
That,
the 37 feet here does comply?
Right. Is that existing already, fence?
There's an existing fence already?
Yes, there's a fence there.
There's an existing,
Yeah.
are you replacing that?
We're replacing the whole thing.
Okay.
Cleaning up the whole yard.
Where the red goes from the green up to section A, that's existing 6-foot fence also, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And that particular fence, at least visually, looks like it's the neighbor's fence, because it matches the neighbor's fence.
Which fence?
That section, this piece that runs east-west here, it matches the fence, that little leg, it matches that leg,
Right.
not your
I
fence.
think it was all done at the same time. It's all the same fence. I'm not sure who put it in. I couldn't find a permit for either house, but it all was done at the same time.
Yeah, it's just interesting because the piece where it says 21 feet there and the piece down here don't match visually. I mean, it's been repainted or something, but they don't look like the same fence.
You're talking about the fence portion that comes from the garage?
That piece right there that he's motioning over.
Okay.
Looks different than that piece right there. And the piece that goes east-west matches that little leg that goes down to the neighbor's house.
There's been so many repairs and paint jobs on that fence, I couldn't tell you. Pickets replaced by homeowner.
So just contextually, you're going to take that whole section, I don't know what the relationship with the neighbor is, but you're going to take that whole section that runs red and green there, replace it as this owner's fence,
Yes.
and marry it up, I guess, to the piece of the fence that exists.
Yeah,
with
we
the neighbor.
can't, by law, you can't tie in the two fences. We'll put posts right next to one another, so the yards are still enclosed. But 99 times out of 100, what happens to us and most fence contractors, when we start the job, that neighbor's going to come out and go, "Can you replace this 5 feet of fence?" And we're going to have to try and do a rush permit. It happens all the time, and no matter what city we work in, because they want it all to match.
Yeah, I guess I don't know, Dominic, I don't know whose fence is what and what permissions there are for if this is their fence or, I don't know how that goes.
Let's petitioner tell us, and then I'll bring it back, and we can talk that question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Typically, with the posts facing our homeowner's yard, I would assume that the fence was put in by her or whoever owned the house at the time, whenever that fence is probably 25 to 30 years old, is my guess.
Yeah.
This is your drawing?
Yes, that's ours.
What does the NG stand for? Neighbor's garage?
Neighbor's garage.
Okay.
Correct. That's good. A lot of people don't pick up on that stuff.
I did not pick up on that.
NG up on top of his garage.
I'm sorry, what are you proposing to put in as a replacement?
6 foot tall cedar fence, same,
And you said, I'm sorry, you just mentioned, and I want to make sure it's on the record, did you say that the posts will be facing inward towards the house?
oh yeah, well, we don't, nowadays, posts are a little different. If you look at the description, all posts, most fence contractors will use driven posts. We use steel driven posts. We don't dig holes anymore except for gates. So those posts will be on our side, and then cover boards are on them. So the fence will almost mirror both sides, except the homeowner's backyard, they will see that cross member 2x4. It'll be in their yard. The good side will face Kenyon Street, the neighbor's driveway, and Kenyon Drive, Jamaica.
Okay. And there's not going to be a gate anymore going across?
No
the drive?
gate, no. We just, to do a gate, the stump would have had to have been removed, and we couldn't guarantee the post for the gate right there, because it would have moved.
So that's just going to stay open then?
Yes.
Between the garage?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Any more questions for the petitioner while he's standing here?
I'm just curious, and I'm, again, looking through pictures and so forth, so I didn't enter the property or anything, but where this 2.5 feet and the 6.5 feet blue section up here that meets the end of the house right there, right? So is there a reason that you bumped that out 2.5 feet on that?
She's an avid gardener, and there's a landscape piece, decorative, like a fountain with cement around it, and she's got a water feature there, as well as what's that kind of drawing in the corner where it says fence section A. There's a large water feature there as well with a pond, and I think she might even put some fish in it in the summer.
Okay. I just needed to.
Okay.
What the reasoning was.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody else have any more questions for the petitioner? All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Teresa, you can go first.
Thank you. I have 2 questions for the city.
Okay.
First one, do you have the ability on GIS to bring up like old base maps?
I could. What,
1963 maybe?
oh,
what's in 1963?
It just,
no, you're talking about the aerial image? To
Yes.
see what was,
Well, I think
Yes.
Kenyon Street, we had another variance on Kenyon Street.
which is here nor there because this current I mean, I'd like to see it just for the board members to see what I can see on my phone here. This current owner purchased it as is, but just so you all can kind of see maybe the transformation of the property. And then I had a second question.
Let them work on 1963.
what year did you say,
I think
1960?
it's 63.
Teresa, you remember we had another variance request on Kenyon. Kenyon was put in like 30 years after the neighborhood was built. It
Yeah.
was just a cut through street, because
But
that's
she
why
wants
there's
you
no
to see.
side.
she
But the
wants you to see-
difference between the house and the sidewalk, like this
Well, they put the
addition,
garage on. They had a permit.
and there was a second one that was brought
Yeah,
here.
the
There's like
addition
two.
he was talking about is to the south, not the garage. I don't know how the garage got installed, because it's
Which is putting it 5.5 feet from the,
correct.
which is that
The
western lot
entire
line.
garage is in the setback.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's a great point.
Again.
That's why she
this-
wants us to see it,
A
so.
little bit of the difficulty that
And
this
be on record,
homeowner is faced with.
yeah.
Dominic's
Making
gonna-
them work today.
I know, Dominic's like,
I'll try it.
all right,
Okay.
thank you.
It's a little speckly, can you clean that up?
Go, just like a question for him?
Okay, so yes, I wanted the board to kind of be able to have this image available to them, because that addition, I believe there's the addition to the west, which puts us 5.5 feet from that west property line. I think there was a second addition to the south, if I went through my aerials properly.
If you look at the photo, the site, street view, you can tell there was an addition to the south.
So, but my question to the city also is, if there's a driveway, must it be accessible? Or can we put a fence with no gate across a driveway apron?
Yeah, I don't know the answer.
I don't think there's any rules against that. It could be removed at one point. You talk about the approach, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think there's rules against it. You know, it's your property, you can block it.
Okay.
Which approach do you want to remove?
No, we're talking, there's not a full driveway right now to that
Yeah.
rear garage. On other side of the sidewalk.
I think there's
an apron here on the
I think there's
street
a
side.
gate, it's just closed. It's like half the gate. It looks like it's closed.
Well, right, in some of the photos, you can see where those fence panels fell.
Yeah.
Well, which brings me to another point. Once you're done, you have another question for me?
Nope, that's,
Yeah.
Can I have to go back to the picture showing, can you go back to our original picture that we had the first time?
All right.
Oh, okay.
So my issue is this little fence that's there. How far is that from the driveway? Because someone backing on the driveway is not going to see anybody on the sidewalk.
The neighbor's driveway?
What's that?
The neighbor's driveway, you're saying?
Well, no, their driveway, that's their
Oh.
driveway past the blue garbage can, right?
Right. Well, yeah.
And there's a fence
yes.
right there.
The
Yes.
garbage can is in the
So,
driveway.
they come flying out of the driveway, and there's someone walking down the sidewalk. Now, it's existing fence, we can't, if we say no to everything, the fence stays, and the same problem stays, correct? If we put the fence up on there, we're going against our usual rules of having a line of sight to see down the sidewalk. Because someone's walking down the sidewalk, they're not gonna see a car, or the car's not gonna see the person walking down the sidewalk. Okay, but I don't know if replacing a fence trumps that. I just want to bring it up to you guys.
I know, this is such a unique,
Yeah, and just another quick question is, the fence that goes between them and the neighbor, and you think it might be the neighbor's fence? He can't, I mean, the fence is already existing there anyways, so I don't have a problem with replacing that fence. I don't have a problem with replacing the fence up north of the garage up there. It's just this little piece here, I don't know if we could pull it back a little bit more,
and I think this is
not
another
part of
question.
the proposal.
you know.
Yeah, I think another question, though, is if we go to, I think it's the next picture down, right? You're seeing the driveway of the adjacent property, right? We're right here. So what's that distance between that driveway and that corner?
That looks like it's 25 feet. I don't see, from that corner of that fence to the, on a diagonal, I don't see a problem with that.
You don't
coming
see
down.
that? I mean-
I don't see it. It's just the other spot is, I can bring the petition up, see how close to the driveway he's gonna be, but, it's been there and had a gate there. And Dominic, I have a question for you. Since the fence was there with a gate, and then it got knocked down by a tree, can it be rebuilt, or does it have to become for a variance once it's been knocked down?
Yes, I was going to tell you that I opened Google, and I can see that the fence was there with the gates, and if he was knocked down by a tree, we allow them to replacement.
Okay.
In a standard way, but of course, in this case, there's more things added to it, so it has to
Correct.
go through BCBA.
Right. But that section, go back up one picture. One more. Keep going up. Keep going. Keep
Do
going.
you want to get back to the original one?
The original one, yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay, sorry.
All right, so technically, from where the fence stops, way at the top of the picture, coming down to this fence, he could be replaced with a brand-new fence because it got blown down by a tree. Okay, so technically, we're only talking about this little section here and a little section up there. Do you guys agree with that?
Yeah, I think that you brought up a point, though, of the line of sight on the
line of
driveway.
sight.
And
Now,
it bothers me.
I understand
don't
we
know.
can't get 25 feet there because the
Yeah.
whole
Oh,
fence
you'll
would be
never-
gone.
Yeah.
But I don't see a problem with asking, we'll bring the petitioner back up if we just came back 10 feet and went on a 45-degree angle, just to give that.
Where at?
Where that blue garbage can is,
Yeah.
if you just came back 10 feet from there and went on a 45-degree angle, so that you have that line of sight, because, like I say, if
But you're eliminating, but again, this is all hearsay, but what about the line of sight on the opposite side?
I'm fine on the other side because the neighbor's driveway
Oh,
doesn't hit
he's
his
talking
fence.
he's talking about into the picture that way, someone walking from the other direction.
Yeah, you're backing out, you're,
Right, well, how close is that fence coming? I thought it was
I think,
stopping because of the stump.
I feel like you're out of scale a little bit.
Can you go back to the picture that shows the blue, yellow, and
The
green
drawing?
lines? Yes.
but again, I get into, like we just talked in the last variance. So are you talking about the fact that they can only build it based on the proposed fence design? So if anybody else tries to put a piece of fence across between and connect those, it wouldn't be approved, it would be,
All right, so looking at that picture right now, between the two red lines, they can put the fence back up the way it was and have
Well,
zero.
currently.
Current sight of lines can be in there. I'm saying where it says 21 feet, we pull that back and put a 45 on there. If this goes back 10 feet, it goes 45. And that piece that says section A up there, what is it, 9 feet long? Looks like, according to the picture, we're quite a ways away from driveway already. 'Cause it-
understand, but I'm saying is if we grant this the way that it's proposed with the 10-foot angle, what if somebody, whether it's this homeowner or the next homeowner, just saying, wants to connect that or put a fence gate there?
Well, I think that'd be a question for,
Right, that wouldn't be in compliance, because if, that's what I'm saying, is if we propose this the way that it, or we grant this the way it's proposed, nobody's able to put a fence back there to connect those 2 points. You're saying now, if they went and put that up right now today, they could.
yes.
If we grant this the way that it's proposed, they could never put one back, no matter if that homeowner moves on or not. See what I'm trying to say? But that equals what you're saying about the
They can still come back
line of
for
sight.
another variance if that
It
was
has
the
come back
case.
for a
true.
variance, so.
But it does correct your line of sight, like you're saying, with it set back.
I only care about the line of sight right now. I don't want somebody getting hit by a car.
I
Now,
agree, the
like I said-
sidewalk is a big thing in the street.
Yeah. Teresa.
If this were not existing and they were coming in just
Brand new?
asking for this, we would normally ask for the angle at the driveway on the south side. That southwest corner would be cut back. And I don't believe, nobody's really discussed it, but I don't think we would be looking at that additional section A with any kind of approval, because it is blocking, we do have a picture that does show the outcome of it. And it is blocking,
The stuff up high and stuff down low. I'm looking at that.
section A is by the side door of the house.
Okay. But
And
that's
s-
existing already.
If it were not existing,
Yes, we would say no.
correct.
Okay.
Just
Why-
just
why?
because it's, Did we
Sandy?
did we
Okay.
ask the question if there were permits on this fence? I'm sorry.
Said they didn't have it.
I didn't see whether there were variances, but I do believe there were permits for the
Okay.
fence.
Okay.
Okay. Sandy?
So, I feel like it's almost, well, in the description that you read at the beginning, Dominic, I just want to make sure I understand it correct. It says, front yard setback of 25 feet along Kenyon where the zoning ordinance limits fence height to 30 inches or to 48 inches of non-obscuring fence. Is that saying that the 48-inch fence is allowable?
So if it's non-obscuring, because they're a rear yard to rear yard on corners, they would be able to do a 48-inch high non-obscuring without a variance.
So doesn't that make the blue section not a variance request?
It's a wood privacy fence, so
6
it's
foot tall.
obscuring.
No, but that's only 4 feet. The
It-
blue,
You're right, it is 4 feet tall, but it's it's privacy.
oh, because
so
it's
it would-
non-obscure. I was
wouldn't
reading
need
it backwards
the-
in my head.
it
If it was open, it'd be okay.
That's correct.
Got it. Okay. So, thank you for that. So my question, or my posit, I guess, is I feel like if I was the petitioner, I'd just say I want to replace the fence. Red fence, forget the blue for a second, section A. My fence got damaged, I want to replace it. He's essentially putting back a 6-foot wood fence where it's a 6-foot wood fence. Wouldn't be sitting here talking to us, right? That's, so you just take that off the table. I'm just repairing my fence.
Correct. You're right.
We'd have
And
a
then,
gate.
what?
We'd have a gate and everything there.
It doesn't have to be.
No, but he could,
Right, he could put the gate in, but he's saying, I just want to repair that fence. Then we'd be talking about, can I do this 48-inch non-obscuring where, obscuring where non-obscuring is allowed, which is also pretty much completely superseded by the fence that he doesn't even have to get an approval for.
right.
See, that's very confusing. So maybe you can explain that to us. So the sense is, it's like, they're here to propose, they're asking for a variance, but like Sandy just said, they could take that existing post, put new fence in, correct?
Well,
Or
they
say
could-
that there's a couple fence posts that are rotted, they replace them, they
And
put a
fix
new
the
fence in.
fence. Correct.
and
Fix
They
the-
fix the fence, they don't need to be here for that variance.
So, yeah, so if they fix the fence, we could care less about the blue, you wouldn't need the blue fence
Yeah,
in there.
which
So-
makes it very confusing.
But I feel that they're in
you
here
for-
asking for the variance. If we can get a 10-foot clear line of sight and not do it and replace all the fencing, I think it's a win-win for everything.
Yeah, I just think,
That's my opinion on it.
Well, it's only 4 foot. It's not.
No, it's,
The blue
he's talking
section.
about the red fence.
I'm talking
I
about the
know,
red section.
the red fence in the corner.
The only thing I'm really concerned about is that
That's not the
corner where the red
request.
meets the blue has got a 10-foot line of sight. And we don't know, I'm gonna bring petitioner back up. I still want to just discuss it with us.
You want the 10-foot on the petitioner's driveway or 10-foot on that southwest corner?
Petitioner's driveway,
And
right there.
But they don't even use,
It's a driveway going to a garage.
well, it is, but did you see the picture of the
the
neighbor's
driveway?
driveway?
Show me the picture of the neighbor's driveway. Tell them what page. And they're 25 feet away. Right there. That edge of their driveway to the fence is 25.
it's about 11 feet.
Okay, well.
you're off, your numbers are
That's what
off.
I'm saying, the scale is off. It's
To
a
me,
lot
it looks,
smaller
to
than.
me, it looks a little bit bigger there.
Can I answer those questions? I have the measurements.
Okay, give me one more minute, let's discuss it, and I'll bring you back up, I promise.
So
Okay, so
my
let's say
other-
it's 12 feet.
So the other thing too is if you go in the visual back a couple pictures, you're looking down that sight line of that fence along that sidewalk, right? Is this street or this sidewalk curving? Because why does that garage have a jet out of whatever it was on that drawing, 2.5 feet, 5 feet?
The house is just on an angle.
Yeah, the house is
The
on an
street,
It's
the
just-
street
it's
is.
the house is
The
on it.
house is not square on the,
Yeah. Because like what's the point of the fence coming off the house? Like why couldn't you just go to the corner of the house right there? Then you get your
No,
sight of line,
but
your line of sight.
We are replacing a fence, so we gotta look at that. 'cause
True.
They can just walk out,
Very true,
replace the
too.
fence, and it's all done.
I agree.
All right. Does anybody else have more comments before I bring the petitioner back up? Because he can answer some questions. Would you mind coming back up, please?
he's like, let me clarify.
This is a tough one, man.
To answer your first question, that distance from his driveway to the corner of that fence is 12 and a half feet.
Told you.
To answer the question, on the other side where we're going to put that small section, that is 14 and a half feet away from the driveway.
Which I'm sorry, repeat
Go
that one last
back,
one.
go back from that portion, from what we're going to put that little L shape there.
Yeah.
We're 14 and a half feet away from the driveway.
When you say driveway, what part of the driveway are you talking about?
Right there.
Right there?
Where you
Okay.
approach, where you would turn in. That's 14 and a half feet from where that fence would be.
I get you.
Okay, because right now.
If you pull up this drawing,
Found
this
fence
page,
panels, and they're
this
10-foot
might-
panels.
Yeah.
this might explain a lot more.
Yeah, but I guess, what's the point of that little end piece, I guess, at this point? It's just what the homeowner wants.
That's what was there.
Goes there.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
Keep going,
That's why I'm
Right there.
going in like. all
even though it's in black and white. There's your,
If they go to.
that shows the distance.
They put the gate all the way across.
Okay.
12.1 from the neighbor's driveway, the usable portion of the driveway, which is where the curb is, backing out of the garage, and then the other would be 14.6 feet from the edge of the fence to where the approach would turn into that backyard.
Thank
Do you understand
for
our
the
concerns
measurement.
on the?
I did my homework. I do these, I have 5 this month.
So do you understand our concerns with the actual line of sight coming off the driveway?
Yes, I do.
That's one thing that
And
we really.
To do something there, we would do a vision triangle. We're open to a vision triangle. On this side where his mouse is,
Yes.
I think is.
Yes.
We could do 8 by 8, 10 by 10. If we go bigger, you're going to look, it's going to be just.
It'll look like a
It's
triangle,
going to look,
yeah.
it's going to be bizarre.
Yeah.
We could do a panel, which a full panel would be 8 by 8. And that wouldn't harm the tree that's there.
Oh, that's right, there's
And
a
it wouldn't
tree
harm
back there.
any, that's the other thing, there's a tree in that backyard.
Yeah, I
And we really don't want to start, we're trying to avoid the posts. And
For
we didn't
you.
want to just go in as a repair and put new fence up, because we know that a gate across that driveway or as a repair is not correct. And that not only will it fall on the city, that would fall on us and our insurance, and we don't want to get sued. We've
Sorry, finish. So originally had the gate, but on a repair, do they have to put everything back like it was?
They can. They don't have to, but they can.
So they-
That's what I was saying, they could just repair it and.
And come
not
in
install
less
gates.
than?
Well, they can put the gate on and just open and just
just
take
don't-
part of
don't
this
install
section and just leave it all.
But he's saying he has business reasons that it,
We don't want to get sued. I mean, I don't know if you guys follow, but they had a kid get hit on a big wheel in Grosse Pointe because people were putting fences up like this without permits, and he went straight across, he opened the gate back down, and he hit a kid.
oh, because the gate
Last
opened
summer,
out.
yeah, gate opened out, and he didn't see it.
Thanks for us to.
Because there's a pool in the yard, the gate has to open out.
Okay. I didn't know that bit.
All right.
About pools.
We would cut, I would put a panel, 8 by 8, but
Just point it.
to do that piece right there, because it's 4 feet going across and going up towards that
Yeah.
way,
Yeah.
we would probably have to just stop the 6-foot section at 8 feet and go with a 4-foot piece corner and then 4 foot across.
Okay.
We don't want to put we don't want to put a 6-foot piece in like this in the vision triangle. She wants, and we encouraged her to put the 4 foot there, so we would probably just extend that first section by 4 feet, and then I would, and that would probably be more aesthetically for the neighborhood.
So, yeah, I mean, but it answers your question for myself, for the future, if that garage is used and there's a driveway board and they're coming in and out, I think from a visual line, I can understand what.
Is this a situation where we need to see a different proposal in front of us?
Yeah, I guess, yeah, we can't vote, we have to vote a no on it based on the fact of the way it's proposed unless we get a change in it, right, for a sight line?
Are we done with the petitioner for a minute?
I think so.
I'm going to bring it back to the board here to talk. I have a question, Frank, you might be more knowledgeable on it. If we approve it as only a 12-foot line of sight, someone gets hit, and our recommendations are always 25-foot line of sights, are we held responsible for that? Can we be?
The way this world is, they're always looking for the deepest pockets,
Yeah.
which is the city. So I'm not an attorney, but I've seen it happen enough times.
Okay. Because, you know, we're going to say, oh, we are very adamant on 25-foot clear line of sight. So all of a sudden, we're going, 12 is okay. I don't see why not. And we have a problem.
Yeah. I wanted to remind everybody that the 25 foot's only for corners.
Right, this is a back-to-back.
This is just, yeah, their driveway.
That's why I said this is the most unique one I think we've seen in the sense of a lot, the way that the positioning is.
You're right, it's a corner for a...
Yeah, the corner 5 is a driveway onto the side to a back.
Okay.
Yeah.
So going back to it, I'm not saying it's not a good idea. It's a good idea, but the code just, that rule's just for corners.
Yeah. So, back to your thought saying, or Teresa, you want to see something more clarified. All we're saying is put a 8x8 or 10x10 line of sight along his driveway. That's not, we're not reinventing the wheel. We're like a line of sight there. Is that true? Is that asking more than what?
In this case, because it's based on safety, we're not really designing for them. We're just asking for a feature that
We're just asking for a
increases
feature.
safety.
Okay. All right. So, before we go any further, I'm going to ask, do we have any letters or emails from any neighbors?
I do not, neither.
Okay, so we have nothing there. I'm going to open up to the public real quick so I can get that over with. Does anybody in the public like to come talk about this? Seeing none, I'm going to close it to the public. Now it's back to us here. This is probably, all my years here, one of the more difficult ones that we've had. Because I look at if we say no, they're just going to put the fence back where it was, and that's that. I mean, there's no. I feel we have a little bit of power saying, let's get a little line of sight here, and they're going to fix the fence back up for safety, and we're going to see a nice new fence there, which is going to be nicer for the neighborhood because a wood fence is
Aesthetics, yeah.
yes. So I feel that we're getting a little bit of goodness out of doing this, and I have no problem with the 4-foot non-obscured going down the side and across. It's like a 4-foot inside of a 6-foot fence anyway, so I don't see any problem with that.
No.
I don't want to do all the talking here. Someone else.
Yeah, I would agree with the chair, the fact that we're looking at, I think you brought it up, Sandy, is the replacement of an existing fence. We keep on going back to that. And
Yeah.
like they said,
Brand new
you
fence.
get denied, they can replace it no matter what anyway, so.
Brand new
what's the
fence, we're not
point?
even sitting here talking about.
Yeah.
That isn't our intent.
No, I understand
we
that.
just-
I
we're just
understand that, but
talking among
we're
us.
talking about how
I just want to make
it,
sure you know.
yeah.
I know it's not.
From the code standpoint, it's just kind of a little screwy, so, yeah.
Okay. So with that all being said, does anybody have any more comments on this? Because I'm kind of torn both ways, but I would like someone to, I know you are in agreement with all that. Teresa? I mean, I'm trying to figure, what else could we ask for them to do, and I don't really see anything.
I don't think there's
Part of
anything.
it is do you just...
Teresa, can you get to the
Oh, I'm so
microphone?
sorry. I'm sighing so much, no. Sometimes we just keep making wrong decisions and piling them up. I'm not sure if that addition was good at the time, but then I see the side that the current property owner is having to deal with the situation that's been given to them. And it does make a unique situation. So the construction of the structure itself is unique, and then the property orientation is unique, shape is unique. And like you said, Chairman, is that we're replacing an existing fence and making it nicer for the neighborhood, which is some of the control that we can have and possibly that safety issue that we could enhance.
Just to add on to that, as I'm always talking, is corner lots are always wider than interior lots. This corner lot is only 60 feet wide. If it was to follow the standards, they'd have a 35-foot wide backyard, which would be, compared to the neighbors, all are at 60 foot. So
Yeah.
normally the corner yards are, in this area, would be like a 90-foot wide lot. Bring in 25, it's still the same backyard to enjoy for the neighbors.
Okay.
Just my quick comment. Sandy, you got
Would it
anything?
be, yeah, would it be a question if they would have put the garage door on the opposite side of the?
I don't know where they could put the garage door. That's just,
Then you're only enclosing it, right?
yeah. So,
Yeah, I guess I agree with everything that's being said, and the uniqueness and the difficulty, and Brad handed kind of a bad set of cards here. My concern for all of this is whatever we're doing is we're essentially, maybe to your comment about bad decision after bad decision, we're essentially codifying something that has just been cobbled together, and I don't love making it formally okay. But I also think at the end of the day, there's a way to solve this without us doing anything, to be honest, and we have no power against it, so.
All right. Well, I always feel is, there's 3 neighbors that are looking at it. Nobody writes in letters normally that are in favor of it. It's the people that aren't in favor write the letters. That's been my past history. So I believe the 3 other existing neighbors are gonna be happy with what is put in there, because it's gonna be, they're looking at it. And, you know, sometimes you talk to them, they want to send a letter, but they don't. But normally the people that don't like it, don't want it, they're the most vocal, and we don't have that here. So, with that being said, does anybody want to put something for or against, so we can discuss a motion? Because I think we pretty much...
Met my quota for the day.
I think we pretty much talked about everything we need to talk about on this, right? Is there anything anyone else wants to say about this? No. Okay. Well, I do have one more question for us. How far of a line of sight do we want? 8 foot, 10 foot?
It's only a 20-foot piece of fence.
Okay. I mean, I'm fine with 8 foot. They're 8 foot sections.
That helps.
Yes. I'm fine with 8 foot. If the rest of my board is fine with 8 foot?
I think the professional
Okay.
gave us the good, very
Good.
good dimension
Okay.
that's workable for their,
But we got to put, whoever puts the motion
Structure.
forward, we got to put that in the motion.
All right, so I guess I'm tagged it. Thanks, Sandy.
There's 3 other people who could do it for you.
I know, well, not really. All right, so I'll put forward a motion to grant the variance request for 510 Kenyon side, or Kenyon in Troy, per the application due to the fact that the exceptional characteristics of the property for which the variance is sought make compliance with the requirement of the chapter substantially more difficult than would be with the case of the greatly majority of properties in the area, and the zoning district characteristics of the property which shall be considered included exceptional narrowness, shallowness, irregular shapes, topography, vegetation, and other similar characteristics. The only caveat to this that we're asking is that for a safety reason that a 8-foot sight line be added to, I don't even know how to explain that corner. So that would be on the west side where the driveway, that it's a sight line on a diagonal 45, 8 foot for a sight line from the driveway to the west side of the property facing the sidewalk. The other, I just also want to make sure that that fence is set at least a minimum of 1 foot off that sidewalk.
Yeah, we're 1 foot off.
Yeah.
Is it okay for me to ask him to change something in it right now, Kathy? Or add something to it, or we have to wait for a
Should
motion?
support it before you discuss it.
Okay.
Someone should support what was moved.
Does anybody want to support it?
I said,
Okay, so we have support. I was wondering if you could add something to that, and I don't know, maybe we don't have to, about, you're only doing 8 feet because 25 foot is not, because,
it's redundant.
It's not.
It's code.
then we won't worry
It's not
about
part of the code.
it. Okay,
It's not a corner lot like
Okay.
we were talking.
all right, then we don't need to change it. So we have a second on it. Kathy, would you take the vote, please?
Sure. Mr. Abathira,
Yes.
Ms. Brooks,
Yes.
Mr. DeZerman,
Yes.
Mr. Friesen,
No.
Mr. Nastasi.
No.
Got 3 yeses, 2 nos.
You're all set. Thank you.
I'll get you the slides. Thank you for telling me.
Thank you. Our next line of business is communications. Do we have any communications? We've already talked earlier about our yeses and nos. Are we still good with all our dates for the rest of the year? We fixed that at the last meeting a couple weeks ago, right?
I think so.
Okay. Any public comment? Not seen any? Any miscellaneous business? Anything, anybody? Nope. All right, we're adjourned.